massive interest rate cuts from the Reserve.
25% increase in infectious.
Keep across the news that matters to you with the ABC Listen app.
Get up to the minute local, national and world news. Live and on demand.
US and NATO officials believe
in-depth investigations from ABC podcasts.
Like Triple J's Hack, ABC News Daily and many more.
All the news that matters to you.
With the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
She runs into an open goal and she's snapped it!
AFLW.
High up and under and has got the distance! Both teams have absolutely brought their A game today.
Live on your radio, this is the AFLW.
Fires from 40 and she seals the game!
Welcome to the 2022 AFLW season.
Snaps from the pocket and kicks a wonderful goal! She's socking it through! The skipper's got her second! Can row, can snap and can kick a brilliant goal! Great contest and there's such ferocity. Great tackle, Bowers wrapped her up. Crunched in the tackle by Maddie Gay. But you're guaranteed to get relentless tackling and physicality. Easy as you like. She slots it. Raises the double fist in celebration. Never in doubt.
AFLW.
Great mark back against the flag. Aaron Phillips sends it on its way. Goal umpire does not move. And a kick from 55 and it's bounced home.
This is the 2022 AFLW season.
Inside the 50, Harris comes out and clocks it. She has taken a hanger. That was magnificent.
The AFLW on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
The final stop on the road to the 2022 AFLW Grand Final brings us to the Adelaide Oval as the Crows and the Dockers clash for their chance at history. Minor Premiers Adelaide are seeking a record fourth Grand Final appearance, whilst Fremantle hope to lock away their maiden chance on the big stage. A date with Melbourne awaits the victor. It's great to have your company this afternoon on Grandstand AFLW for the preliminary final. Aaron Bryans with you to call the action. And alongside me, as always, is Neil Cross. Welcome, Crossy.
Aaron, another great game in prospect this afternoon. What do you want? The final between Brisbane and Melbourne was a nail-biter. We had a nail-biter here in the AFL last night. The footy's just great this time of year, isn't it?
It's a brilliant weekend. I'm so excited for both codes at the moment. And that being said, here in South Australia, a lot of the local leagues are getting underway as well. So footy's up and about. It's well and truly heading into winter season. Your experts this afternoon, firstly, Adelaide Premiership player Rod Jamieson. Good to see you again, Jamo.
Aaron, likewise. It feels like I've never left. Crossy, good afternoon. And yeah, these two teams will be just chomping at the bit, won't they? They've had an extra week to get through, I guess, to support Collingwood, the team that was struggling through COVID protocols. But here we are today at Adelaide Oval. Adelaide play it so well. They lost here on the big dance last year. They'll be keen to redeem themselves. They've been the best team all year, but Fremantle have been a tremendous side and they are a tackling machine, number one in the competition by an absolute mile, so it will not go Adelaide's way all day.
Alongside Jamo is All-Australian midfielder Courtney Gum. Welcome, Courtney.
Yeah, good afternoon. Jamo, I agree it's going to be a great contest. I think they both play styles of footy that really suit finals. As we've said, Freo's an amazing tackling team and the Crows are just, they're contested and they love to win. So I think it'll be a really good match.
It's an extraordinary clash of styles this afternoon. So Adelaide play that high turnover game. It's high scoring inside 50. Fremantle are a high pressure team and they like to move it straight through the middle. And that has been at the detriment of the Adelaide Crows the last couple of years. It's how they lost to the Western Bulldogs. And their only loss this season by a point is when teams really take them on, put them under the pump and move the footy quickly.
Well, I think it's probably the recipe for most ways to win games, isn't it, too? And you know, I haven't seen a lot of Fremantle this year, but they are a tackling machine. They do like to bring it through the middle of the ground. I think Adelaide's pace is good, but again, both teams like a big ground. And here we are, and probably we've just seen Melbourne get up over Brisbane in Melbourne, so a really solid win over there in a tight game, and I'd expect the same to happen here today.
And Courtney, you'd understand the sacrifices that both teams have really made to get here. So Fremantle have been on the road for quite a long period of time, and I've actually had the better run into this game because they won the qualifying final, got the week off, and now get to play this preliminary final, whereas Adelaide, who finished up in top spot as the minor premier, have had to wait 20 days for this game and have been waiting at home, self-isolating to try and avoid the coronavirus.
Yeah, Adelaide certainly had a bit of a tough run coming into it, but, you know, they're used to this. Those girls, having trained and played with them, they are competitive beasts, and no matter what day, what time, they're here to win. So I don't think it'll be a big issue for them. And, yeah, I mean, Freo equally has had a bit of a tough path this season. They've been away in Victoria for, 5 weeks, and then obviously had a couple of issues with COVID, but I think, both teams will really match up well, and finals footy will be great.
And I think at this time of the year, the extra week too hasn't hurt both sides to actually have that extra week off and just nurse a couple of injuries and sore bodies. So I'd expect the competition to be as fierce early. Looking forward to it.
Free entry at the Adelaide Oval this afternoon as well, so hopefully we get somewhere towards a couple of thousand in. It's everyone's slowly making their way into the venue after recovering from last night, I imagine,
Well,
Gemma.
There's a little bit of that, but what sort of goes against, I guess, the crowd attendance today too is that I think it's the competition kicks off today here in South Australia for the women's competition.
Sandford's underway as well.
Yeah, so timing-wise, a little bit unfortunate.
Adelaide and Fremantle in the preliminary final. The winner will play Melbourne. If it's Adelaide, they'll host the big dance. If it's Fremantle, they'll head over to the MCG. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFLW. The text line, if you'd like to get in touch this afternoon, 0437 774 774. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Roger Emerson, Courtney Gum, Liz Walsh down the boundary as well, which we'll head to very shortly. But for the moment, we'll take the ground PA as we prepare for the preliminary final.
And the Fremantle Dockers. The AFL acknowledges the Kaurna people, the traditional owners of the land we gather on today, and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. We acknowledge we play our great game on this land and respect the cultures of all First Peoples, their contribution to our nation and contribution to the game of Australian rules football. Please join with the coaches, players and umpires for the Australian National Anthem.
One spot remains in the 2022 AFLW Grand Final season. Who wants it more? The Adelaide Crows, the minor premiers of the year, host the Fremantle Dockers, a side that's been up and about the past few seasons and are hoping to finally break through for their big opportunity on the biggest stage. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamieson, Courtney Gunn with you for all the action this afternoon. Adelaide, in terms of history, have a winning record over the Fremantle Dockers 4-1, but the last time these two teams met in round 8, both were missing a lot of key players, so it's really hard to see how it's going to play out this afternoon. As we've touched on in the pre-game, a real clash of styles. Both teams are in ripping form right now. It could really go any way. And at the end of the day, we're just going to see some hard contested footy, Jamo.
Yeah, look, firstly, congratulations to Hayley Miller. This is her 50th game, 6th year of the AFLW, and a significant milestone, Courtney, isn't it too?
Yeah, and Hayley's just come such a long way in her however many seasons she's played. She currently sits as one of their number one goal scorers as a midfielder. along with Ebony Antonio.
50 games for Stevie Lee Thompson and Sarah Allen as well.
Correct.
This afternoon. So massive games for both clubs. The toss has just occurred in the middle, so let's head downstairs and welcome in the fifth member of our commentary team, Liz Walsh.
Thanks, Aaron. Great to be here for what is actually the third time an AFLW preliminary final has been played at Adelaide Oval. As you mentioned, the captains have just met in the middle, and Freo captain Hayley Miller won the toss, and the Dockers will kick to the southern riverbank end of Adelaide Oval. Adelaide has absolutely turned on the autumn weather down here. Perfect conditions, a little overcast, but not a breath of wind. As you mentioned, Adelaide Oval has opened up its gates with free entry, and a handy little crowd is building. Looking to the benches, and it's Brooke Tonin, Montana McKinnon, Maddie Newman, Hannah Button and Ailish Considine who'll sit on the bench for the Crows first up, and then for the Dockers, Laura Pugh, Airlie Runnels, Bianca Webb, Michaela Hyde and Michaela Tuka Karana will start on the bench.
So no late changes for either side. 4 swaps for the Crows. Newman, Munyard, McKinnon, Tonin in. Meanwhile for the Dockers, Tua Karana is their only change, with Sarah Wilstra coming out with an ankle injury. Really excited to see how this one's going to play out. Two teams in ripping form. Either can make their claim to be in the AFLW Grand Final.
And Hatchard, Kiara Bowers in the middle, toe-to-toe. Not a bad start.
Yeah, I think it will be a bit of a battle of the midfield today.
Yeah.
Quick tips?
As in...
Who do you think's going to win, yeah?
Well, I think Crows, minor premiers, absolutely Crows.
Yeah, 9 wins, 1 loss here at home. Big day going Adelaide.
Neil Cross to kick us off on Grandstand AFLW.
Ball in the air, Gould with a great tap down to Phillips straight away for Adelaide. Hand pass to Thompson, and Thompson goes forward and long, and Cuthbertson made the contest for Freo, brought it to the ground. Now Veria gave a hand pass back. Stannett gave out a hand pass. It was intercepted. Woodland has a chance. She gives a hand pass over the top, turns it away, and Freo managed to clear their 50 just before the ball goes out of bounds.
Gabby O'Sullivan gathered it just inside the line and then ran it over. No issues there from the field umpire, so it'll be tossed back into play. Just on the pain of Adelaide's attacking 50.
Ash Woodland too. A couple of touches. Adelaide going into their forward 50. What a year she's had, 19 goals.
Gould in front position, wins it down, was looking for Hatchard. The bounce favoured Antonio. That's Ebony. She paddles it to her advantage at centre half back and then soccers off the deck through the centre square. Rolls through Sarah Allen, but she can mop it up at the back. The two-time All-Australian gives it off to Gore, then back to Rajcic. Lowers the eyes. Nice little chip kick hits Marinoff inside the centre square.
Marinoff with a good pass to the lead up from Phillips. She's still inside the centre square at the front end for Adelaide. She chips it forward, and the lead taken by Ponta. Ponta's called to play on. It's play on, and she's caught. She's caught holding the ball. She just took a step, and the umpire called play on, and Ebony Antonio pounced.
Had no idea, I think, of the call, Ponta, and was basically sold into danger by the umpire. Fremantle can go now on the western side. Houghton puts it up over the top. She sold poor Bowers into trouble, who swung to the deck. Holding the ball, Chelsea Randall, the skipper. Second game back from a hamstring injury, pops it short to Bedell.
Well, the tackling machine of Kiara Bowers just gets touched up by one of the best players in the competition. Great tackle.
Towards the 50, she hits Hatchard. Plays on the paint. Wheeled around with an awkward kick along the deck to Phillips. She can gather cleanly, though. Breaks through traffic. Snaps on the left. Erin Phillips has the first of the preliminary final. The 36-year-old stands up when she's needed. That's why she's the best in the game. Adelaide up first, 1 straight 6. It took 2 minutes to get there in the opening quarter on Grandstand AFLW.
That was excellent from Erin. If that's an indication of what we've got to look forward to today, we might be in for an excellent game. I think Crows so far have really maintained possession and used the ball well. Jamo?
Yeah, look, I think you touched on it, used the ball well. They've just been clean, haven't they? It's gone into Adelaide's 50 on 3 occasions. Fremantle have tried to get it out. The defence of Adelaide, as we know how strong they are, they've pushed it back. And when they have gone, albeit a little sloppy going forward, but Erin Phillips, we know, is all class, and just her ability to weave through a number of defenders and snap over a right shoulder and a left foot.
7 goals, 9 now for the season. Out of the middle, it'll be Bowers who'll clear it for Fremantle, and they go forward. Randall going back, bang, big collision. Rue went down, Randall stood up. Fremantle get possession of the ball, though, and they go inside 50 again. Cara Antonio just knocked it away, and it's cleared away by Chelsea Randall. Back towards centre wing, going back with a flight. Hatchard unlucky. Martin got it on the ground and got it into space.
Tried to be picked up, or gathered rather, by Charlton, but Chev around the footy. The Dockers can swarm. Paddled out to the back to their skipper in Miller. Handed it off to Kane. Then back forward off to Pugh, who's wrapped up in the tackle. She dropped it. No whistle. Play on continues in the square, and it's held up with Hatchard on top of the pill. Ball up to come nearly true centre. Adelaide up by 6 points. Gould up against Strom. Strom won it down. Hatchard nearly picked it up for the Crows. Gathered by East. Her kick smothered. Marinoff now over the footy. Can't wrench it out. East dives down. Her handball's picked off by Thompson. Adelaide can go on the eastern side. Handball out wide works for Munyard. Takes a couple of bounces. Pops it up. Centrally intended for Woodland, but she was caught behind Stannard in the run to the ball. And Fremantle take the intercept in defensive 50.
Some really good defensive work by Fremantle. They came at Adelaide, didn't give them the space. They had to rush, and the kick was poor.
Stannard short to Kane, and then finds East back into the centre square. Centre half back. Heads across onto this broadcast side of the ground. Got a bit of space to move in. Her kick wasn't the best, and it sat up, and in came Randall and ultimately taken over the line. The problem there was that Ebony Antonio was running to the bench, and I think the kick was designed to go to her.
Didn't have her eyes on it, Crossy. Toss back in, true centre wing, western side. Adelaide up by 6, early stages of the first. Strom paddles it down for the Dockers, straight to Miller. Under pressure, got boot to ball. Bounces up to right half forward, but Randall's in front position again. Hands it forward to Marinoff. Down the line she'll go to left half forward. Intended for Phillips, didn't get a rise. Cuthbertson brought it down. Couldn't claim it. Picked up well, though, by Verrier. Handed it off to Strom, then back to Cuthbertson. Put it on the boot for the Dockers down the line. Good rise from Randall. Got a spoil from behind and trickles over the boundary line to be tossed back into play right half forward for the Dockers.
Just at the moment, Fremantle with their kicking efficiency or disposal efficiency just at 52%, whereas Adelaide are going at 75%. So Adelaide seem to have settled a little bit early.
Bowers on the ground, does the work off the ruck, and then pushed as she kicked. Under pressure, out on the full.
Yeah, I think the pressure that Crows are putting on Fremantle has really rattled them early. They've made a few skill errors.
Randall down the line with a kick. Interesting. It was perhaps meant for Hatchard. Didn't quite get there. Eventually, though, she got it and handballed it, and that might be a free kick. Last possession out of bounds. There will be a consultation, and that's what it results in. Initially, I think the boundary umpire didn't know if it fell out of the tackle or it was a handball, and the
thought he was imitating Kevin Sheehan.
free kick goes to O'Sullivan, who sends it up towards half forward. McKinnon almost had it. Martin did, and then it was knocked out of her hands for Adelaide. Comes to Bowers. Inside forward 50 she goes. Considine sits under it and takes a chest mark for Adelaide.
The Irish recruit for the Crows already has one flag. Would love to make it 2 this season. Pops it short to Sarah Allen, the 2-time All-Australian, looking to become a 3-time, named in the 40-player squad. Heads down the western side. In front position was Hatchard. Brought it to ground, then gathered. Wrapped up in the tackle by O'Sullivan, but got it off to Martin. Back to Hatchard. Shank off the side of the boot. Didn't work well for her. It's cut off on the western side, and 50 as well to Mim Strom.
They really need to take advantage of this 25-metre.
The Dockers ruck is marched towards the 50. Player on the mark will be 35 out. Had a lead in the right forward pocket. Decides instead to look inside to Hyde. Sliding in on her knees. Takes it low to ground. And Michaela Hyde can go back from 25 out. Slight angle to the right.
It's the poor defence by Adelaide too. Strom may have made the distance, but there was no one really just filling in that space in front of anyone from Fremantle that had the opportunity to want to lead into it. And in the end, Hyde was able to just find some space and then low down chest mark.
5-2 for the year, Michaela Hyde. Long run in close to the player on the mark, but it doesn't matter. Over the goal umpire's hat for a major. And we're all level at the Adelaide Oval once again. 8 minutes gone in the opening quarter of the preliminary final. It's 1 straight 6 apiece. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, Crows coach Matthew Clark coaches from the boundary line, and when that 25-metre penalty was just given away, he expressed huge frustration at what had gone on.
And Amanya, the player coming into the team this week, and also the player that gave away the 50 on that occasion. She came up from behind to stand the mark and didn't go out wide and around the player who'd taken the mark. So that's the reason for the 50. Costly for Adelaide. Scores level. A goal apiece. 8.5 minutes into the opening quarter. Everybody taking their time. Eventually the umpire will be allowed to throw the ball up. Now he's away. So Montana McKinnon for Adelaide. Beaten to the ball by Rue, but it's picked up by Adelaide, and they go forward again into top of the 50. Fighting for the ball. It's rolling around on the ground between about a dozen players, and finally umpire's going to come in and say, it's not moving anymore, give it to me. Ebony Marinoff with that clearance out of the centre. A stat on what happened last time. You said the contrast between the two sides. Jamo, I'll just point that out in a minute as Runnels gets the ball from the ruck contest, turns, twists and goes with the left foot, and coming booming through was Randall looking for the ball, hunting the ball. The umpire circles and says, no, it's caught in under the players. We'll get a ball up. Last game, Adelaide 43 inside 50s to 16. Fremantle 72 tackles to 38. Indicative of the way these sides play.
Randall wanted it so badly she tried to wrench it away from Marinoff there beforehand. Fremantle get a clearance from the ruck contest, though. Down the eastern side it goes. Brought to ground. Vidal's put her head over the footy, but wrapped up by Miller and dropped it. Free kick goes to the Dockers. Hayley Miller looks inbound into the square. Put it out into space, but Red Best coming through by Tonin. Wheels around for the Crows after her back with the flight mark, but the kick wasn't great at all. Straight to East on the bounce. She turns it over. Popped it to Rachich. So what can Adelaide do? In the middle of the square, they'll head up to half forward. Early rise from Hatchard. It went over her head. At the back of the pack is Martin. She can gather in space. Archer away towards 30. Handball back wasn't great to Hatchard, rather. Spilled it to the deck. Button's trying to get it out. O'Driscoll did best for the Dockers. Back to Veria, and she can clear out to right half back. It's rolling towards the boundary line. Needed to be kept in play. Kari Antonio did well. Kick around the body. Ricochets off Allen's fist down to Houghton. Now the Dockers will go towards the 50. Tia Canara was caught late. And Randall again. She's been outstanding in her second game back from injury. The Crows settle on the western side.
Hatchard's hair flowing. She's rarely like that.
Oh, it's Mariana, yeah.
Rachich, in fact, it was. So
looks like the Terminator with their hair.
Adelaide goes forward again. Ball slips over the back of the contest. Tonin gave it off. And they'll go further forward, right to the space where Phillips commands. She's got rid of her opponent. Chance to pick it up. Right forward pocket. Or she couldn't get around the tackle of O'Driscoll. Taken to ground. Free kick to Fremantle. Nice from O'Driscoll. Watch the hips. And made the tackle.
Yeah, tremendous, wasn't it? Defensive tackle. Woodland, was it? No, Aaron. It was unsure. Tried to get around, but tackling, as we know, and we've highlighted a couple of times. And at the moment, 10-8 in favour of Fremantle in this first quarter.
O'Driscoll exits the 50. Was intended for Strom, but she was immediately tackled. Boundary throw-in to come right half forward for the Crows. 1 straight 6 apiece. And we've travelled 11 minutes in this opening quarter of the preliminary final. Toss back into play. McKinnon up against Strong. The 221s collide. McKinnon wins out. Down to Charlton. Skies it into the 50. Knocked down by Munyard. Phillips was there. Weaved through traffic. She couldn't make it too, could she? Sits up towards the goal line. Juggled by Gould and paid. Caitlin Gould is given the benefit of the doubt. And the ruck can go back from 15 out. 45-degree angle to the left.
Well, 9 inside 50s, Courtney, to 3 at the moment. Both are sitting on 1 goal apiece. So Adelaide need another goal for the return, and how much football they've had in their forward half.
The former state volleyballer, 4-5 for the year. This should be pretty easy, though. Comes in, leans back. Outstanding finish from Caitlin Gould. The crowd love that at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows are back up by 6. 2 straight 12 to 1 straight 6. 12.5 gone in the opening quarter on Grandstand AFL. Your experts, Rod Jamieson and Courtney Gull.
Well, I just have to point out that I am really loving Chelsea Randall out there today. She's sitting as their highest disposal getter at the moment with 5. High metres gained. She's just been a rock back there and really brought the Crows into the game. Yeah,
the general, isn't it, too? And if she nullifies her immediate opponent or just her kamikaze way takes out a pack, but if she doesn't do that, Actually concerned to herself the way that she just gets through. So we know that she's an absolute talent and probably hasn't played as much footy as everyone would have liked this year due to injury.
Well, she has caused some damage to herself.
Oh, totally, hasn't she?
So the ball back in the middle. Gould is there. Tap backwards towards Phillips. Martin burrows in. In fact, it's Button, her sister, burrowing in. Clears the ball down to half forward. Now it's picked up by Stannett. Just gets the kick away before Martin grabs it. Out wide for Antonio. This is Ebony Antonio. Picks it up. Circles around. Kicks it back dangerously into the corridor. Mules comes. Couldn't take it. Adelaide fans wanted a free kick. Tackle made by Newman. Ball to be put up in the air by the umpire. Front end of the centre square for Adelaide.
I think Freo last week played a much more efficient game, whereas I feel like this week they've probably gone back a little bit more to just trying to take grass.
Quick clearance from Marinoff, tumbles into the 50, cut off by Stannett. She's wrapped up in a tackle that was illegal. Tonin the offender, so the Dockers get away from danger. Out to the eastern side they'll go. Strom marks, then pops it over the top into space for Ebony Antonio. The bounce did not work at all for her. Considine dives into the footy, but paddled it straight back to Antonio. Hands it down the line to Bowers, trying to get around Button. Shakes her off easily, and a nice kick flat to O'Sullivan, just behind centre wing.
O'Sullivan's kick, looking for Ty. Got the big stretch up there ahead of Allen, but then dropped the ball. She follows up, pats it wide. It's on centre wing. Bowers picks it up. Hand passes back to Antonio. Ebony Antonio to Cara Antonio. At half forward, the hand pass inside to Sullivan. She's quick. She approaches 50. Keeps the ball low, and the pass only found Bedell with the intercept. Then she picked it up off the ground. Umpire calls play on. Thompson knocks it out towards Gore for Adelaide. She clears the area. It might come back again. Antonio over the ball. And the Antonios again work it between them. Then the hand pass goes backward. Strom's in the mix as well. The high ball back inside forward 50. Ty made a contest. Sarah Allen punched it away. On the ground it comes. Houghton picks it up. Only briefly had it. Thompson makes the tackle. Ball suddenly straight towards the goals. And picked up by Gore, and Newman will clear the area again for the Crows.
Just banged it into space. It'll sit up nicely on the bounce for Ebony Antonio. Sold some candy to Gould. Races to the arc. Hands it forward. A 1-2 with Bowers. Didn't get back to her cleanly, and Thompson will run her down. Ball up to come inside the 50.
Stevie Lee, just outstanding. Like her pace, every time she can blow the game open just with her speed, but tremendous defensive tackle.
Fremantle on the charge. Ty taps it down behind her head. Straight, though, to Justine Mules, who clears for the Crows. Spoiled down just outside the 50. Flicked out by Hatchard. Could have been a throw to Gore. They keep going. Charlton takes a bounce at right half-back. Up the eastern side, too high for Ponta. Fremantle waiting at the back. Strom can gather on centre wing. Hands it inbound to Stannett. Kicks back up to left half forward for the Dockers. Way too long for Bianca Webb. And out of bounds on the full.
Again, I think just another indication that Fremantle is just struggling to use the ball well.
Relying on a few at the minute in terms of getting hold of the football to be able to get them forward.
Hatchard down the line with the kick. Wasn't fantastic. It's turned over, but Adelaide will come again. Marinoff through the centre. A kick was partly smothered. They have backup. Marinoff, in fact, gets her own kick back. Inside forward 50. It was a good kick. Finds Tonin. So Tonin is 40 out, perhaps, but beyond her distance. The umpire will hold her up and set an angle. We'll see what her kick's like. Breeze, if anything, is favouring that northern end of the ground.
Courts, she had in her. This is only her third game. She got the distance.
Oh, I think it would be on her distance. It'd be a pretty amazing end to the quarter if she could get this one.
In she comes, crosses 50, kicks from 40, and she was very confident about it, and it almost got there just off the hands on the line. She was very happy with the strike, but just the minor score pushes Adelaide's lead to 7 points, 17.5 in opening turn.
Yeah, wow. Just a tremendous kick.
Struck that very well.
Yep.
So Fremantle in defensive 50 through Kane. Exit out to right half back. Miller's underneath it. Stands her ground and takes the mark. Great year for the new skipper. It's her 50th game today, as we touched on. The former pick 4. Heads down the western side. Packer waits. Front position Gould brought it down. O'Sullivan was there for the Dockers. Gives it to Hyde. Then hands it off to Cara Antonio. Bit too late with her handball to Ty. Mops it up. And the siren will beat the Dockers. Quarter time at the Adelaide Oval in the preliminary final, and a great contest we've got on our hands. 2-1-13 the Crows plays Fremantle 1 straight 6. The goal scorers at the first break, Gould and Phillips for the Crows. Michaela Hyde has the only major for the Dockers. Earlier today, Melbourne defeated Brisbane by 4 points to lock away their spot in the 2022 grand final. Which of the Crows and the Dockers can join them next Saturday in the big dance? Great to have your company on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFLW.
ABC Sport now has its very own newsletter, and we'd be pumped to have you on board.
The ABC of Sport will provide a wrap of all the best stuff that's happening in sport every week.
Simply go to abc.net.au/connect
and get ready for a sport hit in your inbox every Friday.
Get on board with the ABC of Sport newsletter
for content that makes you think
or allows you not to.
AFLW on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Patchard plays on the paint, wheeled around with an awkward kick along the deck to Phillips. She can gather cleanly though, breaks through traffic, snaps on the left. Erin Phillips has the first of the preliminary final. The 36-year-old stands up when she's needed. Patchard, shank off the side of the boot, didn't work well for her. It's cut off on the western side and 50 as well to Mim Strom. The Dockers ruck is marched towards the 50. Player on the mark will be 35 out. Had a lead in the right forward pocket, decides instead to look inside to Hyde, sliding in on her knees. Takes it low to ground. 5-2 for the year, Michaela Hyde. Long run in close to the player on the mark, but it doesn't matter. Over the goal umpire's hat for a major. McKinnon up against Strong. The 221s collide. McKinnon wins out. Down to Charlton. Skies it into the 50. Knocked down by Munyon. Phillips was there. Weaved through traffic. She couldn't make it too, could she? Sits up towards the goal line. Juggled by Gould and paid. Comes in. Leans back. Outstanding finish from Caitlin Gould.
The AFLW on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Welcome back to the Adelaide Oval for the second preliminary final. The Crows up against the Dockers, both looking to book a place against Melbourne in the grand final next week. Adelaide lead 2-1-13 to the Dockers 1 straight 6 at quarter time, but it's been a great contest so far here at the Adelaide Oval. A back and forth contested affair. We could have another thriller on our hands just about 12 to 16 hours after the showdown. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross with you. Rod Jamieson, Courtney Gum, your experts. That was a really enthralling opening quarter, Courtney.
Yeah, it was. Really, obviously there's only one goal in it. I felt like the Crows seemed to have more of the ball and they seem to be using it a little bit better. The Crows obviously defensively are the best in the competition pretty well. They set up so well. I thought in the last half of that quarter that the Fremantle started to maintain some possession, but they have been struggling just to get it up into their forward line and then maintain it in their forward line, Jamo.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like looking at the stats, distance covered, Adelaide have got them in that area. The uncontested Fremantle 40 to 24, so that's probably the biggest differential, handballing a lot by Fremantle to Adelaide. So they got a lot of disposals, but they're not covering the distance. And I think that's one, either they're not clean enough or the pressure from Adelaide is too great and the contest is there. I think Adelaide would be disappointed to have 11 inside 50s to 7 only for the 2-goal return. So a big tick to the Fremantle defence.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was the potential there for the Crows to be 1 or 2 goals more ahead at the end of that quarter. So going into the next quarter, really 1 goal in it. It's it's all systems go. It'll be interesting to see if Fremantle can just regroup and come out and just play that cleaner style that they were playing last week against North Melbourne.
Ebony Antonio leads the way with 8 disposals. Kiara Bowers also with 7. For Adelaide, Anne Hatchard has the 6. Ebony Marinoff, who's just a magnet, has the 6 also too. Chelsea Randall off the halfback with 5. Sarah Allen, even when Fremantle do go forward or do go deep, it's just her ability to be able to look so composed in the way that she moves, but also assesses the situation pretty quickly. Mariana also too to be able to do what they need to do. We touched on Stevie Lee's effort there in the back half where I think it was Ebony Antonio coming through, got around one, backed up a handball, but the tackling at that to be able to save or nullify an opportunity for Fremantle to have a kick on goal. So the first quarter probably unfolded in terms of the pressure and the contest that we thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned it at the start of the game. I think if Fremantle were to break the game open, they need to be able to get it into defence quickly so that the likes of Ratchich, Allen and Chelsea can't set up. Yep. But that's a hard task.
Easy to say.
It is, Jamo. Earlier today, Melbourne defeated Brisbane by 4 points, 5-3-33 to 4-5-29. So the Melbourne Football Club into its first grand final in the AFLW and could be hosting it if Fremantle win today. If the Crows win, it's here at the Adelaide Oval next Saturday. But the D's certainly have earned it across the year. And a thrilling finish it was over at the MCG. Bannon with 3 goals, Paxman with 20 touches. Brisbane fought to the wire but couldn't get it done in the end, with Melbourne victors by 4 points. Still to come today in the AFL, the Giants and the Suns, the Magpies take on the Cats, and the Lions play the Roos. But here at the Adelaide Oval, it is the preliminary final between Adelaide and Fremantle. The Crows leading 2-1-13 to 1 straight 6. Been very impressed by Chelsea Randall's game as well. It's her second one back after a long-term hamstring injury, but she's just so brave. Yeah. There's no fear.
Well, we saw last year here in the prelim final just her contest, wasn't it, that really caused the issue, and she got concussed and missed the grand final. And I mean, she's such a significant player, a key player. Could that have been the difference? We'll never know, but the way she attacks the football, she's enormously ferocious.
Yeah, we talked about the damage she's done to herself. That was one of them, wasn't it? That concussion where she just went headlong into a contest, knocked herself out.
Yeah.
Adelaide by 7. Second quarter underway on Grandstand AFLW. McKinnon slaps it down for the Crows, only as far as East though. Gets a bit of run through the square. Spiral punt up to the western side for the Dockers. Bounce favoured O'Sullivan. Fended away Gore brilliantly. Threw it on the boot. A tumbler up to half forward. Rue tried to paddle it to Miller. Took her knees out. Randall, and the umpire saw it that way as well. That's the slide-in rule there. So free kick to Hayley Miller. Quickly to Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, during that break, Chelsea Randall was actually in deep discussion with the club doctor. They're both looking at her hand, but she's obviously playing.
Miller into the 50, looks for Rue, but clunked over the top of her. Great intercept mark from McKinnon.
She's just got such an amazing overhead mark, McKinnon.
Oh, I thought that was pretty brave too, deep in defence, to be able to go one-on-one and take the mark from behind.
Yeah, 40 metres out straight in front. Meanwhile, Adelaide have moved it out to centre wing. Mules down the line. Goes for Martin. She turns and twists and gets away, and eventually got a hand pass over the top and was taken late, said the umpire, so it'll be all of 15 metres away. Free kick to Gore. So Gore between centre wing and half forward for Adelaide. Sends it to the near the top of the 50. Numbers there. Ball comes off hands. A lot of numbers again around the ball, and the umpire eventually will come in, ball it up.
Look at Ebony Marinoff and Kiara Bowers, just the contest. They get up, give each other a dirty look and get on with it.
Reset. McKinnon slaps it down. Right half forward for the Crows. Looking for Charlton. She's up against Miller. Tries to nudge her away, but Miller just races through. Uses the body. Gathers and kicks down the line errantly. Gore nearly took the intercept mark. Couldn't reel it in. East can mop it up for Freo and keep going. Her kick, though, for Houghton is cut off by Bedell. Adelaide at right half-back, leading by 7.
She's been a star this year too in the half-back.
Yeah, just another addition to their defence line.
Adelaide forced to keep it on this side of the ground. It goes over the back. Martin takes it, and she gave it away to McKinnon. Inside half forward. Phillips picked it up, twisted away from the tackler, got it back centrally. Dangerous kick, but intercept mark brilliantly. Kane coming back and taking the mark for Fremantle, about 40 out, straight in front of their defensive goal at that Riverbank stand end of the ground.
Kane punished the Crows last time they faced each other. 21 touches, pops it short to East. She marks on the painted defensive 50 for the Dockers, and short she'll go to Miller. Plenty of possessions early for the Fremantle skipper. Up to the logo western side, looking for Strom. Outmarked by McKinnon again. Adelaide's tools lively early at the Adelaide Oval.
I've played with Montana in local level, and it really is just a huge part of her game. There's a little bit happening down there.
Marinoff shoved Bowers into McKinnon as she walked back on the mark. finally heads into the 50. Cuthbertson was there but couldn't take the intercept for the Dockers. Phillips trying to make a contest of it. Ball ricochets to left half back for Fremantle, but Marinoff's there for Adelaide. Got boot to ball under pressure, but only as far as Cuthbertson. And the All-Australian defender has it at left half back for the Dockers. Down by 7. And we played 3 minutes in the second quarter on Grandstand AFLW.
Oh, bites off a lot. She wanted to switch the ball. And Stevie Lee Thompson said, well, go ahead, but I can make up that distance if you have a go. And she had a go, and Thompson picked it off. So she's got a mark, 40 out, straight in front of the goals.
Cuthbertson's such a normal, reliable defender, but just a dangerous kick to go across the goal so deep in your defence.
I think, they've tried going down the line a little bit and thought they might try something different.
Thompson goes straight down the line that she was aiming for, straight over the head of the goal umpire. Adelaide have another goal. Bad mistake from Freo. Adelaide 3-1-19. Fremantle 1 goal straight, 6 points after 4 minutes of the second term on Grandstand AFLW.
That's a great goal from Stevie to capitalise on that, and that's what we were probably looking for in that first quarter.
Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, and an issue for Adelaide this season has been their inaccuracy in front of goal. So I'd say that Matthew Clark would be really pleased with what his forwards are able to do so far.
Adelaide up by 13, Gemmo, sorry?
Yeah, no, so I was just going to carry on with that. 3-1. Again, they're getting a lot of inside 50s. Again, probably would like to improve on their efficiency, albeit it is high, but that's that last kick inside 50 that doesn't matter what level you play at, it's critically important. But 14 inside 50s for a return of 3 goals, so the defence of Fremantle just holding up.
Rod Jamieson, Courtney Gum, your experts this afternoon. Hatchard in the middle, gets a clearance for Adelaide, bounces up to half forward. Phillips was wrapped up, couldn't get a possession away. Now O'Driscoll paddles it to Veria. She's slung down. Adelaide keep going into the 50. Tonan's brought down. Now head over the footy. Charlton is gang tackled by a couple. High pressure footy right now. And a ball up will occur. 45 out from Adelaide's goal.
Tackling a feature of both sides. Fremantle 19, Adelaide 15.
Gould with a tap down. Marinoff picked it up, slung the ball over his shoulder. The kick long. Woodland balanced it almost in one hand. Picked up by Ponta. She couldn't snap away. Fremantle get an opportunity. Runnels just sent the hand pass wide and just too slow to get rid of the ball. Was low. Woodland ran it down. Again, it's on distance at about 40 metres out, 45-degree angle.
What a tackle, Jamo.
Breakout season for her too, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously she played in Melbourne a few years back, and I don't know if she featured in a game, and this season she has just been a superstar.
Her speed to get to the contest too, as much as her being a target up forward for Adelaide with the return, but her speed to be able to shut it down and defend.
Called a play on as she arced around, didn't have the distance, top of the square, ball off hands. It's Button who gets rid of her player, and then Kane comes back and slings her into the ground, and the umpire says that's an illegal tackle. You can't do that. So Button will take the free kick to Adelaide, drive them closer to goal.
Button centres a kick looking for Marinoff, juggled but couldn't take it. Tonan off the deck, put it forward to the top of the goal square. Sitting back was low, gave it off to Strom. Dangerous exit. O'Sullivan did well. Took a contested mark up against Marinoff. O'Sullivan now in defensive 50. Heads to the eastern side. Back with the flight, nearly taken by Newman. Cut off by Cara Antonio, who brought it to ground and then applied the tackle on Martin. Ball up to come on the eastern side. Adelaide by 13 points in the preliminary final. Tossed up, Strom wins it down for the Dockers. Head over the footy, Bowers has Hatchard on her tail. Couldn't get a clean touch. Picked up by Runnels, skies it straight up and down. Centre wing eastern side, play on is the call. Bounced off the deck. Thompson was there for Adelaide. Back to Allen. Wheels around on the right. Doesn't get a lot of distance, but into the square it goes. Beats O'Driscoll for the Dockers. East trying to gather off the bounce. Has a fumble in the circle. It may be costly. Hatchard comes in. Paddles it out to Marinoff. She has to become the tackler on East. Ball's held up. Did they dive on it? No. Ball up to come inside the centre square. Adelaide by 13. 7.5 gone in the second term.
Fremantle just keep trying to come through the centre of the ground but aren't hitting their targets. Adelaide continue to apply pressure.
Martin at the base of the pack got a hand pass out to Hatchard, who gets it in the back. She forced herself forward. She was over the ball and saying, well, I'm not actually touching it. And Bowers just touched her. and that was enough for the umpire. Hand pass wide, and then she's bowled over by Bowers. And so Bowers gives another free kick away. It's down the ground, so to speak, this time, but it's actually sideways to where the hand pass was. Thompson will take the free kick for Adelaide, close to centre wing on that eastern side.
In her 50th game, Thompson heads into the 50. Phillips got rid of her opponent. Hugh went to ground. She stood her ground. And Erin Phillips marks 35 out. 45-degree angle to the left.
Just always has the ability to read the football better than most, hasn't it? I guess she looks so natural when she's up there.
Yeah, absolutely. This year, obviously, she hasn't been as efficient in front of goal. Today, she's done well. So what do you think, Jamo?
Looking for a second. Erin Phillips crosses the paint of 50, kicks from 45, gets a lot on it. It'll sit up over the pack. Outstanding. It's through. It looked like it bounced on the line. Woodland was waiting for it. It's a goal either way. Take your pick. Phillips, Woodland. The Crows have so many options up forward, and they're firing at the Adelaide Oval. 4-1-25, Fremantle 1 straight 6. 9 minutes gone in the second quarter on Grandstand AFLW.
I might find out from Liz a little later which way the breeze. The southern end of Adelaide Oval is normally pretty well protected, but it looks as if the entire pack, both Adelaide forwards and the defenders from Fremantle, just misjudged that. It cleared the pack and just landed over the line.
I thought that was a goal from Phillips. It had so much carry on it.
Well, they gave it to... Oh, they've given it to Ash.
Well, let's have another look on what we can see of the replay. But I tell you, Woodland was on the ground and she saw where the ball bounced and thought, well, I'm just going to pick it up and make sure.
Everyone else had stopped.
It did look
They just
like
assumed it was over.
Yeah, and literally everybody else had stopped, and Woodland was smart enough to say, well, you know what, it's not going to hurt to put it through again.
Oh, so Adelaide got 3 goals.
So back in the middle, Adelaide did the clearance again. Running wide was Miller for Fremantle. They're a little bit shaky at the moment. Stannard gave a hand pass back. Kane has it. She's bowled over just as she kicks. Loose ball on centre wing. Rue comes in. Adelaide surround her. And now Kane's in there as well. And Adelaide forces the ball up. So we'll go down to Liz Walsh on the boundary.
I just wanted to let Jamo know that the wind's an interesting one. So the flags at the moment are dead still. But occasionally there are some gusts that are coming up.
19-point lead to the Crows. East hands it out to Runnels. Solder into trouble. Now Button's wrapped up by a couple. Ball held up. Attacking edge of the square for Adelaide.
Adelaide are putting a lot of pressure on today. It's really great to see.
McKinnon in front position, slaps it down in front of Mules. Paddles it to her advantage. She's got East right behind her. Both go to ground. Kane can pick it up for Fremantle. Hands it back for Rue. Had a fumble. Hatchard can swarm. Her handball wasn't really efficient. Lowe got it down the line, and the errant kick from the Dockers hits the chest of McKinnon. Just behind right half back, Rue ran into her. No 50, the crowd's getting restless. They didn't get enough last night. Into the 50 goes McKinnon. Phillips Rose couldn't plunk it. Spilled to East, and she can clear out to left half back.
Strong came in. Another great tackle by Adelaide, but they can't force the ball away. Cara Antonio gave it off to Miller and then followed up and got a receive again and then just tumbles the ball forward. Constantine made the contest for Adelaide, picked it up on the ground to Rachich and then to Sarah Allen, and then she did a turn very nicely to Gore, and then Gore sent it short and Newman's got the mark at half back.
That was clinical, Jamo.
Yeah, really calm, really composed. Pressure. Fremantle were coming with numbers, but they just worked it around the back.
Newman is centre half back. Great kick. Selling some candy. Hatchard will go through the square. Hits Mules. Marks uncontested and can go. Hands it over the top as she draws the defender. Munyard into the 50. It's an awkward kick. It's flat and bouncing towards right forward pocket. O'Driscoll cuts it off. Handball to Cuthbertson was messy, but got it back in the end. Nice smart kick. Out to Runnels, 30 out from defensive goal. And they'll continue the switch out to the eastern side. Verrier gathers in space, pops it down the line. Cara Antonio with a nice lead. Takes it in front. Fremantle out on the eastern side.
Verrier's good kick out of defence. It was one-on-one out that side. It just had to give the opposition a chance, and Fremantle would have been in trouble again.
Well, that was a better switch from Fremantle, but Adelaide covered back and they're forced to go down the line. Runnels off the pack with a hand pass. Sloppy. It went to the boundary line and over, so it'll be last possession, and Adelaide will take the free kick. It'll be Considine. So She plays on now, well aware of the rules. Some players who grew up with the game aren't. So the Irish woman gets it down to half forward. Strong mark, centre of the pack, taken by Hatchard. Hatchard around on the right foot, sends it in low and hard, and Tonin takes the mark. From 40 out, goes for the centering kick. She was looking for Ponta, but it was well cut off by Cuthbertson, and they needed that. Fremantle.
Cuthbertson heads out to Veria, pops it short to Runnels at right half back.
Repeat entries from Adelaide is making it hard for Fremantle. They've got to defend a lot. They don't have the ability for the defence to take a breath, but when they get it forward, they've just got no opportunity.
Back across the goal face they go. Veria to O'Driscoll. Looks to exit defensive 50. Just had enough carry to low. Plays on at left half back. Kicked down the line for Bowers. Couldn't clunk it. Spilt to ground and Thompson was there. Gathered an errant hand pass towards the square for the Crows. Marinoff head over the footy. Got it out to Hatchard. Threw it on the boot up to right half forward. Woodland did well. Hadlow all over. Takes the mark at right half forward. Woodland points long and sends it that way. Up towards the goal square. It sat up a bit in the wind. Not that there is any really at the Adelaide Oval. Just didn't have any carry. And Cuthbertson can take the intercept mark for Freo.
Oh, a finger-breaking kick. Sends it back. Off hands it went to O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan just sends it forward. Looked like there was a push in the back there by Ty, but she got away with it. Hand pass forward to Houghton was interesting as well. Houghton on the ground just slipped the hand pass to Rue. Was she taken high? Sarah Ellen over her. And Adelaide comes away through Rachich. Careful kick, just couldn't hit Hatchard. Taken away from her by Bowers. And then a late hit by McKinnon on Bowers.
She's in trouble for that, I reckon.
I don't think so. Bowers quick to get up.
She ran through her.
I thought she, as hard as she is, I thought she overacted that.
Cara Antonio took the free kick. Set it inside 50, bouncing Ebony Antonio. She's gone around in circles twice, then a bounce, and then the hand pass inside, and then the kick at goal, and it's through for a goal by Cara Antonio. Desperately needed by the Dockers, and they get one back. After 15 minutes of the second term, Fremantle get their second of the afternoon, 2 goals straight, 12. Adelaide 4-1-25. Let's go down to Liz Walsh on the boundary.
There's a bit of a concern for Adelaide here that Erin Phillips has come to the bench for the first time this game. She's been in discussions with the doctor about her left knee. But as you'll see, actually, she's running out there right now. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, she's a little bit proppy, isn't she, too? But as you would think, Ebony and Antonio and Cara Antonio would have a connection, which they absolutely do. But just Ebony to be able to just have that composure. Didn't want to give the football up. Defensive Adelaide held back, and then that handball inside to give some space.
Yeah, and the Crows have had 9 inside 50s to Fremantle's 2, and Fremantle have managed to score a goal, which is great.
Adelaide by 13 points. Tapped down in the middle, favoured. Marinoff just threw it out to Thompson. Play continues. The Crows up to half forward. Knocked down from behind by Button. Worked well for the Crows. Got it to Munyard. Tonan's handball didn't sit up very nicely, though. Cut off by Ebony Antonio. Now the Dockers out to the eastern side. Errant kick for Kane, who has to shove away Gore. Did brilliantly. Tucks the arm under and goes. Bounce out on the boundary line. Through centre wing she goes. Central kick. Oh, she's taken it over the line in the run. She got so close with that surge. It was a great bit of play. Boundary throw-in to come on the eastern side.
Just stay in your lane, eh? Poor thing. Had some toe.
So 13 the margin in favour of the Crows. Ball off the ruck contest. Charlton with their handball forward wasn't great. Bowers picked it up, sent it inside 50. And coming out, Houghton taking the mark for the Dockers. Keeps a low pass. She looked for Miller. Was taken away from her. Newman was held up. Surely that was holding the man. No, it wasn't. It's play on towards the goal face. Ty was clever. Tapped it down. Runnels with a snap. And the Dockers have another one. 2 in a row. They're back in this contest. Fremantle 3 straight 18. Adelaide 4-1-25 on Grandstand AFLW. Your experts, Rod Jamieson and Courtney Gum.
Well, if you make the most of your opportunities, you can end up in this position, can't you, Jamo?
Swing of momentum at the moment. The last couple of minutes, Fremantle have defended stoutly for most of this second quarter. 54 seconds to go, and in the last 2 minutes been able to nail 2 goals.
And I think we've seen them really move it forward quick, and I think obviously they've had a lot of trouble bringing the ball from their defence line through into their forward 50, and they've just really managed in the last few minutes to really push it through fast.
Matthew Clark's a pretty light-hearted character, but he wouldn't have liked that one. late in the second quarter, conceding when you're up by 13. Now a 7-point margin in the preliminary final on Grandstand AFLW. Great to have your company on the reset. Knocked down by Gould, exited the circle. Phillips is there to gather. Handball wasn't great. Strom now for the Dockers, up to half forward, looking for Webb. She was in a one-on-one with Gore, brought to ground. Ty puts her head over the footy. Allen's on her, brings her down illegally, says the umpire. So Ty now centres her kick to half forward. Hits up Kane. She'll mark uncontested, too far out to score.
30 seconds.
Looking for some options and called to play on. Lowers the eyes with a flat kick to the scoreboard pocket. Mules nearly cut it off. Drop the mark. Hyde becomes the tackler on Bedell. Ball up to come. 40 out from Fremantle's goal. Slight angle to the right. What can they make of the final few moments of the second term?
Umpire looking for a couple of rucks. Finally he found them. Ty knocked it down. Gould followed up for Adelaide. Hand pass out to Charlton. She released the ball as best she could. Dockers keep it in there. Umpire will come in again. Only moments left in the first half. It's a 7-point game in favour of the Crows.
Two key defenders in Chelsea Randall and Montana McKinnon sitting on the bench too.
And the last play is a quick clearance from Adelaide, so no extra goal for the Dockers, but they'll be very happy with back-to-back majors to finish the second quarter. The margin remains the same as the first break. 7 points the way of the home side. The Adelaide Crows 4-1-25. Fremantle 3 straight 18. All individual goal scorers in the opening half. Gould, Phillips and Woodland for Adelaide. Antonio, that's Cara, Runnels and Hyde for Fremantle. A spot up against Melbourne in the AFLW Grand Final is on the line this afternoon after the Demons beat the Lions by 4 points earlier today. Some injury concerns for Erin Phillips at the Adelaide Crows, but she looks like she's up and about. But now the Dockers may be in a bit of strife, Liz Walsh.
Yeah, Gabby O'Sullivan came from the ground in those last few seconds of the game. Looked like her right ankle was giving her a lot of trouble.
That would be a big blow for the Dockers. She's an inaugural player for them and clearly one of their standouts running through the midfield. So hopefully Gabby O'Sullivan can make it up for the second half. Rod Jamieson, Courtney Gum, your experts this afternoon. What do you think of the opening half, Jamo?
Well, I thought probably the margin as it is at half-time, you said, is the same at quarter-time. I thought Adelaide had the advantage for most of that second quarter, but they were able to defend really hard, Fremantle, and made a couple of errors which opened up things for Adelaide to be able. I thought they were a little wasteful of the game when they went forward for the amount of inside 50s they had, Courtney, but you know, the defence firstly for Fremantle really started up, but that last probably 4 to 6 minutes, 2 goals, get it forward efficient. You don't care really how, but they were able to use their legs, carry the footy and put the defence of Adelaide under pressure.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the scoreline. As I think I've said before, I really have felt like Adelaide have controlled the game and obviously just not made the most of their inside 50 possessions. Interestingly, Jamo, Fremantle seemingly have had most of the ball with having 131 disposals to Adelaide's 107, which I didn't quite realise it was that different.
Yeah, well, I think it's the distance of both teams that are covering. It's 200 metres in favour of Adelaide to half-time. It was the margin was a little more in the early part of that second quarter. So, and then when you're having a look at the longer kicks, it's 16 to 13 now at half-time. It was more in favour of Adelaide. So I think the good thing about good sides is you can actually change the way you play during a quarter or during a passage of play when they recognise what they're not doing right, and then they can actually change it to get it right. Now, obviously, you want to be able to do that, but the opposition, have a fair say or an influence on how you do go about that. So we expected a tight tussle. Adelaide have been, the better team all year. I felt they were for probably a quarter and a half, but Fremantle just found a way, and now they're only a kick and a bit behind.
They kicked the final 2 goals of the second quarter, the Dockers, but their key forward targets haven't really fired so far this afternoon. So Ty has 3, and then Roxy Roos, having a career worst season in terms of scoring, hasn't touched the pill this afternoon.
I was going to say, I don't think you've even called her yet too. So, and 20 inside 50s Adelaide, 11 to Fremantle. So they have been there a number of times, but it's been the way in which they've been able to score. They haven't had too many set shots. Probably one Fremantle, I think, in front of goal. The rest have been through passages of play.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. So, again, if you're Fremantle, you sort of look at, well, we haven't really played that well. We've been under a fair bit of pressure. What you have seen in that part of that second quarter, I'd be saying to the team is, look, things opened up, put pressure on them and they might crack and give you an opportunity. And if there are any injuries to key defenders or they spend time off the ground, then huge opportunity.
Capitalise on it, yeah. And I think obviously that first half, Fremantle did look a little bit... not scared, but a little bit, I thought Adelaide put on some really good pressure. So they fumbled, they made mistakes, and, it's half-time. We've got a whole half of footy to go. It's really a clean slate. So if they could clean up a little bit, I think they could probably get it into their forward line a little bit more often, and maybe then we'll see their key forwards get a few more possessions and a few more set shots. So I think this second half, it'll be really interesting to see how both teams come out.
You have a look at the amount of, I guess, you've got 2, 4, 6 players. Antonio Miller, Antonio East, Bowers, O'Sullivan, injured. We'll see how we go. All in double figures. Marinoff and Hatchard are the only 2 in double figures. So Adelaide have been a little bit more efficient with the football, but have had so much of it going forward, which has probably just reinforced what we're saying. Had less of the footy, getting it further forward, putting more opportunities. Fremantle are defending. Still a number of players for Fremantle that are down up forward when they have gone, haven't touched the footy or haven't had an impact. But then conversely, Danielle Ponta's only had the 1 as well too, and she's dangerous. But she only needs 6 touches and she'll kick 3 goals on you too.
The thoughts of Rod Jamieson and Courtney Gum on Grandstand AFLW. It's the second preliminary final. Adelaide up against Fremantle. The winner will go on to play Melbourne in the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. It's been great to have your company this afternoon at the Adelaide Oval. Still to come in the AFL, the Giants up against the Suns, the Magpies against the Cats, and the Lions against the Kangaroos. But for now on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital, we can take the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has used his late-night video address to stress the challenges faced by his country as Russian forces withdraw from some parts of the country's north. He says the Russian forces are leaving behind a complete disaster in the north, and he's warning of difficult battles ahead as Russians redeploy towards the east of the country.
In the east, the situation remains extremely difficult. Russian troops are moving to Donbass and towards Kharkiv. They are preparing new strikes. We are preparing an ever more active defence.
Liberal candidates have been selected and endorsed to run in 9 New South Wales seats ahead of the federal election due next month. The candidates will run for seats in Eden-Monaro, Fowler, Grainler, Greenway, Hughes, McMahon, Newcastle, Parramatta and Warringah. They were handpicked by a 3-person committee headed by Prime Minister Scott Morrison, bypassing local party members.
I'm very pleased with the selections we've made. 2/3 of the selections that I have made, together with the Premier of New South Wales and the former federal President Christine McDermott, are women, so I'm very pleased about that. I've always been very serious about that.
The Victorian Government has unveiled what it calls an Australian first in crisis accommodation for vulnerable pregnant women to help stave off homelessness. 36 apartments in Melbourne's inner southern suburbs will provide up to 50 women and their babies with homes and ongoing support services each year, ranging from support after family violence to maternal and child health to help get their lives back on track. Health Minister Martin Foley says the government is investing $13 million in the Cornelia program, describing it as the bedrock of safe and secure housing at a time when people could not be more vulnerable.
Whether it's mental health, alcohol and drug addiction, family violence, the wraparound services that help these women and their beautiful children at the time when it means the most to them is what secures them. And if there's more important work that government and community can do, I don't know what it is.
Western Australia has had another slight drop in daily COVID cases while recording 1 death. There have been 7,822 new infections and a woman in her 80s with the virus has died. 215 people are in hospital and 6 of those are in intensive care. A man in his 50s and a woman over 100 have both died in South Australia after testing positive to COVID-19. There are 184 people in hospital with the virus, up from 169 yesterday. SA has recorded just under 4,500 new cases, a drop from 5,134 new infections the day before. Big waves and a king tide have caused major damage to ocean pools and other infrastructure in Sydney's eastern suburbs. The coastal walk has been closed between Bronte and Bondi, along with both beaches. Waverley Mayor Paula Massolis says the water has even reached the road above the beach.
It really just shows the incredible power of nature at the moment. We've seen terrible damage at Bronte Beach, with the promenade and seawall being severely impacted and damaged. The North Bondi pool has had damage as well.
Daylight saving ends tonight for those states participating in Eastern Australia. It will impact New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania and the ACT. Many Australians will be anticipating a Sunday sleep-in tomorrow, with clocks to be wound back by 1 hour. The government of Sri Lanka has declared a state of emergency amid rising anger at shortages of basic necessities. More from the BBC's Sunita Nahar.
Sri Lankans have been protesting across the country for days, carrying billboards shouting, "Enough is enough, stop the corruption and no more lies." Many have no food, no fuel and no medicine, and they are blaming it on President Rajapaksa and his government. Economists say mismanagement, years of accumulated borrowing, compounded by the COVID-19 pandemic and the lack of tourism have left Sri Lanka reeling from an economic crisis.
And actor Will Smith has resigned from Hollywood's Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences after he slapped presenter Chris Rock at the Oscars ceremony. In a statement, the actor says he betrayed the trust of the Academy, as well as depriving other nominees and winners of their opportunity to celebrate and be celebrated.
Hi, I'm Sam Hawley, host of the new podcast ABC News Daily. This is the show that will help you understand the issues affecting your world. Every weekday morning, you'll get one big story from the news source you trust, told by the journalists you know best, in under 15 minutes. Find ABC News Daily on the Listen app or wherever you get your podcasts.
AFLW. On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Thompson heads into the 50. Phillips got rid of her opponent. Hugh went to ground. She stood her ground. And Erin Phillips marks. Kicks from 45. Gets a lot on it. It'll sit up over the pack. Outstanding. It's through. It looked like it bounced on the line. Woodland was waiting for it. It's a goal either way.
Cara Antonio took the free kick, sent it inside 50, bouncing Ebony Antonio. She's gone around in circles twice, then a bounce, and then the hand pass inside, and then the kick at goal, and it's through for a goal by Cara Antonio. Miller was taken away from her. Newman was held up. Surely that was holding the man. No, it wasn't. It's play on towards the goal face. Ty was clever, tapped it down. Runnels with a snap. And the Dockers have another one.
The AFLW on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Great to have your company for the preliminary final at the Adelaide Oval. It's Adelaide leading Fremantle by 7 points at the major break, 4-1-25 to 3 straight 18. The winner will go on to play Melbourne after they defeated Brisbane earlier today in the first ever AFLW game at the MCG. A 4-point victory to the Demons, 5-3-33 to 4-5-29. Bannon kicked 3 goals for them. Paxman as well had 20 touches. Melbourne rolling through to the grand final. And if Adelaide lose this game to Fremantle, they will host it at the MCG next week. So the Demons are probably rooting for the Dockers at the moment, but it is the Crows leading by 7 points at the major break. Around the country, in the NRL, the Warriors lead the Broncos 24 minutes gone, 12-0. In the A-League, Western United and Central Coast Mariners are locked at 2 apiece at the 76-minute mark. And in the Sheffield Shield final in WA, Victoria trailed WA by 145 runs. They've just come out from the lunch break. Victoria 4 for 241. Mitch Perry's 48 from 109. Nick Maddinson 8 from 3. So the Vics trailing by 145 runs with 6 wickets in hand. Coming up today, following this contest, we'll take you off to the Giants and the Suns. Shortly after that, Collingwood play Geelong, and then Brisbane play North Melbourne to conclude your Saturday of football. Boy, it's been a great round, not only in the AFL but in the AFLW, as we saw earlier today when Melbourne got over the line against the Brisbane Lions. It was a back-and-forth affair. Brisbane nearly stole it at the end, but the Demons hanging on. It was a great conclusion to kick off our back-to-back preliminary final coverage. And after the contest, Lucy Watkins headed downstairs to chat with Daisy Pearce.
The captain of Melbourne here, Daisy Pearce. Thank you so much for joining us, Daisy. How are you feeling right now in this moment?
Proud and rapt for the opportunity we've now got next week. Super effort. We've got so much respect for the way Brisbane play. They're such a good team outfit that never give up, and that's what we got today. So for our girls to just chip away and get the result was awesome.
And you had an interrupted preparation, quite a few weeks off. What was it like coming into a prelim final with so many weeks off and the uncertainty around the game?
We have. It's unusual. We nearly had 3 weeks off. But firstly, with COVID, we've just been so used to playing whatever is dealt. I think the last 2 years have been good training for this. If this was just out of the blue, it might have thrown a few and it wasn't unusual prep, but we've become so kind of good at just rolling with whatever is thrown our way. And then secondly, the club did such a good job at setting up those weeks for us. We went really hard in the first couple of weeks that we did have off. We had an intra-club, and then the Thursday after that we had a pretty big hit out as well. So it didn't feel like we'd had weeks off. I actually was a bit sore, but I think one thing we've been working on as a team as well is to create a really competitive training environment. So it didn't feel like today was a step up in intensity because we've been training pretty hard and going hard against each other at training along the way. So I thought we started the game, our contested stuff was really good. It wasn't an issue.
Yeah, and speaking of that, the conditions out there today were quite tough, slippery, wet. The first half felt like a little bit of a slog. Is that how it felt for you?
Yeah, which we knew it would be. Any final, it's going to be pretty tight for most of the game, which is what we found out today. So, we kind of knew that you couldn't wait for goals to kind of give energy. We were looking for other things to celebrate and reward in each other, the other team acts that create goals, and as it panned out, that's what happened. Just our ability to chip away and know that if we kept playing our roles, that the scoring opportunities would come, and I think we held our nerve pretty well with that.
Daisy Pearce speaking to Lucy Watkin there after Melbourne defeated Brisbane earlier today by 4 points in the first preliminary final, 5-3-33 to 4-5-29. So they've locked away their place on grand final day next Saturday. Who will join them out of the Adelaide Crows and the Fremantle Dockers? Adelaide lead at the major break by 7 points, 4-1-25 to 3 straight 18. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rog Jamison, Courtney Gum and Liz Walsh with you. Good news for Docker fans, Gabby O'Sullivan is out there after that ankle concern at half-time, so she's good to go, as are both teams. Third term underway on Grandstand AFLW.
So Gould for Adelaide with a tap down to Phillips. Ball hits the ground, though, and is going nowhere. Finally, it pops out. Thompson with the tackle, though, and Kane couldn't get away. Miller does eventually for Fremantle, kicks it out towards centre wing. Ball on the ground. Ebony Antonio came in, flicked up a hand pass. That'll be an illegal tackle by...
Rochelle Martin is just a diminutive little tackling machine, isn't she?
Well, she makes so many tackles, she's got to get 98% of them right. That was the first one that she's got wrong today.
Antonio down the line, a packer waited. O'Sullivan was in there with Randall. Neither can get a clean possession. Bowers just tries to rip it out. Marinoff dives onto her. And a ball up to come, right half forward for the Dockers.
A tight start to the game, a few stoppages.
That contest too, Anne Hatchard at the front of the pack, caught one in her ribs.
Gould down, Charlton was there to Crum, threw it on the left, up, down, in front of the benches. It was an errant kick, and it didn't sit up favourably for her. The Dockers intercept through Ebony Antonio, bangs it back to the arc. It's close along the boundary line, but enough for Randall to keep it in play with an intercept mark for the Crows.
One star to another.
Disposal number 7 coming up for her as she heads up the western side.
Bowers gets it off hands, sends it back from whence it came, and Chelsea Randall picks it up, can't get the arms free in a tackle, taken to ground. Umpire comes in, says, give it to me. Just of note, Adelaide, the only club in the top 6 to have victories this season. They played all the other top clubs and had 5 victories over them. Only the one loss to the Western Bulldogs, who of course didn't make the finals. Here's the ball on centre wing now for Adelaide. Rachis couldn't, or rather Phillips couldn't bend down and get it. Now it's on the ground and umpire says, no, Verrier's not going anywhere for Fremantle. Let's throw it up.
She's been a superstar, hasn't she, Erin? But just think it might be starting to catch up with her in the middle of the ground. Dangerous up forward where there's little space.
Knocked down to Miller. Quick clearance towards half forward. Sitting back was Randall. Flat kick to the centre circles. Brilliant to Mules. Takes it out in front for the Crows.
Oh, she's slow. Go short.
Doesn't have a lot of options to go to, so she'll head wide instead. Out towards the eastern side. Thompson's there. The 50 gamer up to right half forward. Martin's got a lead. Takes it on the chest. She's still too far out to score. About 70 out. Martin will pop it into the scoreboard pocket. Juggled by Munyard. Couldn't take it up against Pugh. Races away from her though. Handball into Hatchard, who was held before she got it. And a free kick will go the way of the Adelaide Crows. And Hatchard has it. Decides to lower the eyes. Centres a kick inbound. Gould couldn't take it. Diving to ground. Mules comes and mops it up though. Throws it on the right from 40. Heading towards the goal square. Woodland gets a fly. Can't bring it down. Phillips is there. Gathers. Wheels the wrong way. Hands it inbound to Charlton. The former number one pick's kick is awful. Bounces favourably though for Ponta. Outstanding finish from Danielle Ponta. She made it work for her. And she's got her first of the afternoon with a superb finish. Danielle Ponta makes it 5 majors for the Adelaide Crows, and they're up by 13 points.
Well, you've said it before, Jamo. Ponta doesn't have to have many possessions to make them count, and that's an example. That's her second possession today, first goal.
Yeah, look, she's all class. She just doesn't need a whole lot of space. She's worked reasonably hard, just watched her lead up, but Adelaide haven't gone to her on the lead, and the defence are very aware of her capability. But Erin Phillips, again, just smarts to be able to get the football. And it was Tia Charlton just with the snap that didn't cover the distance, and Danielle Ponta doesn't need a lot of space either.
And I thought they used the ball well in and around the 50. They were quite patient as well.
Back in the middle, Gould with the tap down. Marinoff couldn't get to it. Hatchard could. Miller made sure she didn't get a kick away. Flipped out a hand pass herself. Into a little bit of space. Marinoff fighting hard for Adelaide. Runnels is opposed to her, and now she's surrounded by a couple. Umpire says, give it to me.
Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Gabby O'Sullivan's come from the ground again, so we'll just check in with the Dockers and see what's going on.
In the right contest, Gould down to Miller, was tackled before she could get a clean disposal away. Marinoff now pushes it forward. Bounces unfavourably for Button. Has to become the tackler in the end on Verrier. Ball hits the deck. It's not going too far. Phillips tries to bring it out. There's 4 Dockers around her. And we'll get a ball up. 60 out from goal for the Crows. Strom knocks it down. Marinoff's there to Crum. Wheels away from Miller. Gives it off to Considine. Bangs it into the 50. It sits up for O'Driscoll. Juggles and intercepts in the end. Emma O'Driscoll for Fremantle. The fullback in the 22 under 22. She's been outstanding this year.
Goes out to that eastern wing. Oh, that was well done by Bedell. She just ducked away with a hand pass. It wasn't fantastic, though. Oh. Bowers intercepted, went back centrally. Strom was able to half volley the ball. They get it inside the centre square. On the ground, Marinoff couldn't take it. Coming away was Miller. Interesting smother attempted there by Considine. We might come back to that. Anyway, it's gone forward for Freo. Houghton has it. She's trying to run away from Sarah Allen. Didn't appear to have the pace, but somehow she caught her.
Sarah Allen is much faster than I think people give her credit for.
She's very, very good in decision-making, and that was a beautiful pass. And on centre wing, she's found Marinoff. Adelaide go forward again.
Only as far as O'Driscoll, though, who stood in front position and intercepted for the Dockers. Still on the western side. Pops it back where it came from at right half forward for Fremantle. Knocked down in the pack. Dana East was front and square. Hands it inbound to Runnels. Throws it on the boot up towards the 50. It's sitting for Randall. She did well back at the flight. One of the best today for the Crows, and spots Charlton in the middle. Hits her in the square and they can go. Adelaide towards half forward. Woodland's caught behind again. Got a spoil against Cuthbertson, but she did well, the Docker. Clears it, a bouncing ball towards Strom. McKinnon just fists it forward up from behind. Cuthbertson comes again. Paddles it to her advantage. Ponta making a contest, gathers cleanly, outside of the boot, into the 50. It's bouncing for Woodland, through her hands and Lowe's. Phillips is at the back, caught in the tackle, got a handball out. Tonin bounces it towards the goal line. Hatchard is there over her head, went for something special. It didn't have enough carry. Sat up on the behind line and was smothered over in the left forward pocket. Boundary throw-in to come, but gee, Adelaide had some chances there.
Well, again, you just speak about how well the defence of Fremantle have held up today. Another example. They take a punt. They try and get to the contest to put the pressure on. Adelaide just couldn't get the player they needed free to have a shot.
McKinnon goes with Strom. McKinnon got the tap down. Bowers first to it. Just overran it. And off the ground, Phillips. Top of the goal square, Woodland. Couldn't take a clean possession. Bowers came in, gave the hand pass out. Strom clears the area. It might come back. Newman with a punch over the top for Adelaide, away from Marinoff, or rather Antonio. And then the ball forced on the ground. Runnels has to surrender it to the umpire. Inside forward 50 for Adelaide.
Up by 13 points. McKinnon slaps it down. Phillips coming through. Busted over. No free kick. And the ball sits up for another ball up. Gee, Phillips just got bodied there.
Yeah, big hip and shoulder.
It was a very friendly bump, wasn't it?
They'll go again. Strom down for the Dockers this time. Looking for Bowers. Clean handball out. Hits O'Driscoll. Clearance out to right half back for Fremantle. On the lead, Ebony Antonio.
That was a beautiful mark by Ebony Antonio. She's been a standout for Fremantle today.
Has she what? She's been their best player. I love the way she plays.
Had Newman all over it. This will be disposal number 16 for the afternoon as she heads down the western side.
Goes high. McKinnon at the front for Adelaide. Ball comes to Webb and then gave it to East, and then East forced to kick quickly, and Gore picks it off for Adelaide across half back. So they're in control for the moment, the Crows. Short she goes to Newman. Newman left alone. She can play on from half back. She's up the centre wing. Her kick down the line. Punched away by the defenders from Fremantle. Comes to the front of the pack. And a big tackle by O'Driscoll on Button. Forces a ball up front end of the centre square. Left half forward for Adelaide. And they have a lead of 13 points.
The only goal of the third term so far. We've travelled 9 minutes at the Adelaide Oval. Marinoff rips it out. Handball intended for McKinnon was cut off by Rouge. She's caught in the tackle. Reset coming in the centre square. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, Docker Gabby O'Sullivan has come back onto the ground. She's gone straight to full forward, but she's not 100%.
Rue now into the ruck for the Dockers. Knocked it down to Runnels. O'Driscoll's kick is smothered by Thompson, who did brilliantly. Taps it to her advantage in the 50. Hands it off to Phillips. This would be a superb play towards the top of the goal square. It's off hands. Sits up for Adelaide. They're diving in, trying to get it out. Woodland becomes the tackler, trying to push it towards the goal line. Flicked a handball out. Tonin couldn't get it off the deck. And hits the right-hand goalpost for a minor score. What a play from Stevie Lee Thompson, though. That could be the highlight of the day.
Just anticipation to be able to read and her speed to get to where she had to.
Yeah, her breakout speed is uncanny.
Dockers bring it in. And mark taken there by Rue. Outside defensive 50. So she just holds it up and waits. Adelaide set up their defensive web. Down the line, she's forced to go. McKinnon standing under it for Adelaide, just a little over the top of her. And it was Martin on the ground who was fighting hard for the Crows.
Just because I want to say it, Crossy, it's Roxy Rue's first touch. The rock star.
Montana McKinnon, meanwhile, just knocked it into a bit of space. Thompson came the other way, picked it up for Adelaide. She's having a good quarter. Long, she goes to the kick. Woodland got rid of a player, then went to ground. Was it a trip? Picked up by Phillips eventually, tumbled towards goal, bounce over the top. Should be a goal coming up for Tonin if she can get possession on the line. She's tackled and just forced through for the minor score. A tackle made by Cuthbertson, who's in a bit of pain now, but gee, the Dockers will be happy she was there. I think she might have landed on the boot of Tonin as she went to try and kick the ball. Slow to get up.
See, I still don't agree with this here. Like, if this player is not in a position to be carried off on a stretcher, why is playing stopped? Like, just because she's injured, there's no reason for play to stop. And it's a free, isn't it, too, if you don't have the football and get tackled, by the way?
So she had a fresh area on the shot and then was tackled without it. So you are correct, Jamo. I think that's a missed call there. But Fremantle will be glad it was missed. Down by 15, they can exit defensive 50. McKinnon tries to juggle it in the mark for Adelaide. Did enough to get it down to Mules. Handball out to Munyard. She's wrapped up by East. Got it to Mules again. Into the 50. It's too high for Button. Bowers will take it and go. Arches the back through halfback. Handball forward for Miller. Wasn't great though. Made her work for it. She had to tackle. And the ball is held up inside the centre square. Fremantle looked out there. Bowers just couldn't finish it off.
Yeah, Bowers sort of, it was great. She took the ball and ran, and I think she just forgot to look ahead of her a little bit.
So, high tackle this time. Dockers will get the advantage. Bowers, Randall almost intercepted. Sarah Allen on the ground, couldn't get it. Chelsea Randall dived in, gets to her feet. Play on, calls the umpire. The ball comes back to Bowers again, and Martin got her. Adelaide get the ball away. Hand pass forward from Munyard, found Mules. And then Martin runs on and takes it. Hand pass inside to her sister. Button takes it. Inside forward 50 she goes. And Pugh was just able to... No, there was a push there. It'll be a free kick. No, I thought the umpire had signalled there was a push there by Lowe, but it wasn't. They get away with it, the Dockers. Outside defensive 50. Adelaide try and come again.
He stuck his arm out for the free, Crossy, and pointed in Adelaide's direction, but decided to let play continue. And Fremantle have received another free, this time on the western side. Short pass will work for Bianca Webb in front of the Crows bench, where Nikki Gore, Ebony Marinoff, Stevie Lee Thompson, Danielle Ponter are waiting to come on.
Crows have set up well behind at the moment.
That's a big four stuck on the pine. Down the line go the Dockers. Gould at the back. Got boot to ball under pressure. Trickles across the deck. Bianca Webb trying to cut it off. She's wrapped up by Munyard, close to the boundary line. Ball still in play. A couple of second and third efforts by Munyard as she picks up and slings and eventually carries her over the boundary line to force the boundary throw in. It is Adelaide by 15 points, 5-3-33 to 3 straight 18. 13 and a half gone in the third on Grandstand AFLW.
Great moves by Munyard. She must have been a wrestler at some stage. Ball back into play, ball on the ground. Right. And trying to get it out. No clean possession. Again, the umpire will come in and ball it up. I noticed Cuthbertson off the field, the tall defender. So she's gone off as a result of that collision that forced her behind before and had to consult the Fremantle doctor.
They need her back on. She's been good today.
Here come Fremantle. Antonio around the body into the 50. Roo flew but couldn't take it. Randall's there at the fore of the ball. Got it off to Considine, then Newman. Out to the eastern side. Woodland again is caught behind. Had to spoil against O'Driscoll. And the Dockers will have space to mop it up. On the logo, O'Driscoll gathers. Uses Ebony Antonio, who races away from Woodland. Skies it into the 50. O'Sullivan gets around her opponent. But Randall back with the flight. The courage. She's so brave. And has been excellent this afternoon with the intercept marking in defensive 50.
There's a reason why she's got 3, I think, AFL Most Courageous awards.
They spread the ball to Sarah Allen near the boundary line.
Smart.
Nicely done by nicely done by Ponter, kept it in. Marinoff, down the line she goes. There's Munyard. She couldn't take it. Verrier got it away from her. Tumbled a kick. A little bit fortunate to find Miller. A little bit fortunate to tap it away from an Adelaide player. And then it was picked up by Bowers from a hand pass. And then short she went. O'Sullivan dropped what she could have taken. Taken down in a tackle. Perhaps didn't handball it. Adelaide come away through Marinoff. Turned it over straight away. Webb gets it. Sends it back goalwards. But Houghton was outpointed. Pointless, actually, out of that contest with Sarah Allen, who took the defensive mark for Adelaide.
She's hard to beat. Clears defensive 50 for the Crows. Beats the pack and Runnels is there for Fremantle. They'll try again. Kane is a run down by Charlton and she's very sore. Landed on her head. Now outside the 50 they go. Adelaide trying to get it towards their attacking half, but Fremantle cut it off again. Verrier into the 50. Too high for Roo. Randall's there. Put her head over the footy. May have had a head clash. That's not good. Mules now out to the western side again. Fremantle sitting back. Stannett has it. Randall's fine. Fremantle go again. Up towards the paint. Off hands. Spills down to Kane. She's up and about. Skies it towards the top of the goal square. Houghton in a 2-on-2. Couldn't juggle it. Rachitz beats her. And then kicks it straight into her. Fremantle can swarm. Miller gathers. Threw it out in the tackle. Sarah Allen again has saved the Adelaide Football Club on the 3/4 time siren. She has been their saviour of the afternoon in defensive 50, Sarah Allen. You cannot get past her. And Adelaide, heading into the final term of the preliminary final, will take a 15-point lead over the Dockers. 5-3-33 to 3 straight 18. All individual goal scorers this afternoon for the Crows: Gould, Phillips, Thompson, Ponta and Woodland. Meanwhile, for the Dockers, Cara Antonio, Reynolds and Hyde. The winner plays Melbourne next Saturday in the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. Can the Crows hang on at home? They're up by 15 on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. This is Grandstand AFLW.
If you've been through a disaster, like an earthquake, a fire or flood, you'll know they're overwhelming. I'm Dr. Kate Brady, and I work with communities after emergencies and research what happens in the months and years after these events. Join me for After the Disaster, a podcast to help you find your way through and beyond these life-changing moments.
Most people who are not in the community don't really understand the experience of disaster.
Find it on the ABC Listen app, the ABC Emergency website, or wherever you get your podcasts.
AFLW on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Woodland gets a fly, can't bring it down. Phillips is there, gathers, wheels the wrong way, hands it inbound to Charlton. The former number 1 pick's kick is awful. Bounces favourably though for Ponta. Outstanding finish from Danielle Ponta.
The AFLW on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Just the 1 goal in the third term, but it was enough to push Adelaide's lead to 15 points at the final break. Fremantle desperate for their maiden grand finals appearance, but they'll have to overcome that deficit. 5-3-33 plays 3 straight 18 at the Adelaide Oval. The winner plays Melbourne in the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. Following this contest, we're back to AFL men's action. Triple header of footy starting over at Giant Stadium with GWS hosting Gold Coast. Leading up the team there is Brett Sprigg. Spriggy, tell us what's about to happen.
I'm not sure I can still call it the expansion derby, Aaron, as these two clubs are now well established in the comp. But for better or worse, either side's progress is often compared against the other. And as far as where they sit in season 2022, well, to put it politely, the improvement is still very much ahead of them. The Giants are winless through the opening 2 rounds, and the Gold Coast Suns had a less than convincing win against the West Coast Eagles in the opening round. They did go close to Melbourne last week, losing by 13 points to the yardstick of the competition. So they would feel perhaps that the Giants are vulnerable, despite being the visiting team here, the Gold Coast Suns. The team news here, by the way, is no late changes for GWS or Gold Coast. The respective subs will be Adam Kennedy and Josh Corbett. 5 changes for the Giants, headlined by Braden Pruce making his club debut, the former Roo and Demon, along with local products Jake Steen and James Peatling, as well as Lockie Keefe and Matt DeBoer. While for the Suns, Lockie Weller is back from health and safety protocols, and he rejoins the likes of Tuke Miller and Braden Fiorini, who have been winning plenty of footy in some good touch there in that Suns midfield. The Giants looking to avoid a 0-3 start in back-to-back seasons. Look forward to seeing how this one plays out. I'll be joined in commentary by Daniel Garb. Our experts are Ryan O'Keefe and Callum Sinclair, with Emma Simpkin on the boundary. It's the Giants and the Suns to kick off our men's games on this Saturday in round 3. Az?
Thanks, Spriggy. Looking forward to it. Interested to see how Callum Sinclair goes in the expert role. Nice to hear from the big man from the Sydney Swans. Great to have your company here at the Adelaide Oval. Aaron Bryans, Neil Cross, Rod Jamieson, Courtney Gum and Liz Walsh with you. The final term coming up shortly with Adelaide leading by 15 points. Jamo, Courtney, what are we expecting? Can the Crows hang on?
Well, I think in the context of this game, 15 points is actually a good lead to go into the last quarter with. Looking at the statistics, it really is quite even, Jamo, in terms of possessions, tackles, etc. The thing that stands out is the Adelaide Crows have had 28 inside 50s to Fremantle's 17. I think defensively both teams have been standout today. Both Freo and the Crows have really held up in their defence lines, and I think it'll just be a matter of, for this quarter, who can win the ball at the source and get it into their forward line.
Yeah, and the uncontested is the biggest differential, 101 to Fremantle to 73. So again, getting back to, I think they've had enough of the football, but they just haven't been able to get it where it needs to be. Ebony Antonio is, and it's difficult not to make the comparison. I think I said this last time. She almost looks like Nat Fyfe the way she plays. She sort of towers above a lot. She's got the bun going as well, but she carries the football. She's strong overhead and uses it really well, and not afraid to put her body over the football.
I think she's really creative, Gemmo. She really tries. When she gets the ball, you know that she's going to try and make something happen with it, which is exciting. She'd be like Randall like that.
Yeah. And I think the other one too, Kiara Bowers, she's just a star in the way that she approaches it. But you know that she's going to hang on to the football too. Like, she likes to sort of weave and dodge and get through and carry. So she's going to give you a chance. Fremantle keep giving you a chance because they come into the middle of the ground. But you're right, both defences have held up tremendously well today.
Key possession winners, Ebony Antonio, Hayley Miller with 18 apiece. Ebony Marinoff has 17. Kiara Bowers as well with 17. And Hatchard has 16. In terms of our goal scorers, as I mentioned before the final break, all individual. So Gould, Phillips, Thompson, Ponter, Woodland, Hyde, Runnels and Cara Antonio. Would love to see what Erin Phillips can do in this final term, because the Dockers are her favourite opponent. She's kicked 7 goals in 4 encounters on them. So see if he can double up in this final term. Fremantle looking for their first ever chance at an AFLW Grand Final. Adelaide have been here before. They know how to get it done, and they've got a 15-point lead. Can they hold on to it in the preliminary final on Grandstand AFLW? Couple of hundreds of fans in attendance, Jamo. Good atmosphere at the Adelaide Oval.
I think the crowd's probably got more as the game has gone on, but you'd like to 2,000, 3,000 maybe. Again, we would have expected a little bit bigger crowd. But there is women's football starting here in South Australia today, so makes it a bit hard to, I guess, get the crowd that I thought we'd get, sort of 20 at least from a prelim perspective.
I'm sure they'll be right back if it's a home grand final next Saturday.
Everyone's probably exhausted from last night, Jamo.
No.
Let's see how it finishes.
Too much football, coach, is never enough.
Adelaide by 15. Gould wins it down for the Crows. Martin flicks a handball out back to her ruck. Overruns the footy. Stevie Lee Thompson's in there. Can't get a clean possession away. Head over the footy. Mills is wrapped up by a couple as well. Ball up comes in the centre square.
Adelaide conceding just 18.7 points per game this season. Dockers stand with 3 goals straight, 18 to their tally. So I don't know if we've backed them in this last quarter. Away from the contest it goes. Verrier picks it up. Doesn't get a hand pass. Umpire calls play on. And in comes Martin for another tackle. That time she took Kane down. Umpire grabs the ball and says, let's go again.
Strom wins it down for the Dockers straight to East. She's quickly wrapped up by Martin again, Crossy. How many is that now for her this afternoon? That will be tackle number 3.
She's averaging 5 tackles a game.
On the reset, East is mauled by a couple as well. Ripped away by Marinoff rather. Handed it out towards Munyard. She couldn't control the footy. Now the Dockers look to go forward. East took it, but it wasn't 15. Brought to ground by Mills. Dropped the footy. No free kick. Now Hatchard goes to ground in the circle. Another ball up to come.
Well, Fremantle don't miss too many tackles. They average 70 tackles a game. They're currently at 54 now. Adelaide are 43, averaging 54, so they're around the mark.
Ebony Antonio tried to get it out. In fact, had a kick at it, but that was smothered. Now Pugh's lost it. Still they go at it. Boy, this is intense. It just back and forth. Player gets it, loses it in a tackle. Another player gets it, loses it in a tackle. And right now, Stevie Lee Thompson has picked it up, and the umpire said, I've had enough of this. She picked it up, was surrounded, and Miller got a free kick for holding the ball. I'm not sure about that. Out wide, she went with the kick, just slightly ahead of centre wing, and Ty's taken it for the Dockers.
4th touch of the afternoon, up to right half forward, beats the pack. Behind it is O'Sullivan, kicks around the body, bouncing for Houghton. Rachich sticks a hand out. Cuts it off in the scoreboard pocket, but Houghton goes again. Flicks a handball out to Cara Antonio. Bounces off Mules. Gives it off to O'Driscoll. And converts at the top of the goal square. Exactly what Fremantle needed to start the final quarter. There's life in this contest as Emma O'Driscoll gets her first ever goal in AFLW. And boy, it's a big one. Down to a 9-point game at the Adelaide Oval. 5-3-33, plays 4 straight 24 on Grandstand AFLW.
Well, that first goal, Jamo, was a really important one. If Crows got it, they'd be 21 points up. Fremantle got it, and now they've brought the margin back to 9. And we have another game on our hands.
Just a couple of errors there in the back half from Adelaide, wasn't it? To keep it in, fumble, pocket. But their ability to be able to, and Cara Antonio, who again just attacks the football to be able to create an opportunity. Adelaide gets sucked in, 2 players to 1, and then you have O'Driscoll out the back and an easy goal in the end.
The well-travelled Dockers, who this season played 5 of their first 6 games out of a hub in Melbourne, and they're looking to go to the MCG after coming to the Adelaide Oval this afternoon. They've still got a job on their hands, though, as Bowers is wrapped up by Martin. So, ball in the middle again. Strom takes it out of the ruck contest, just tumbles the punt forward, picked up by Cara Antonio. She goes with her left foot, inside 50, Houghton. She was in the right place, played on straight away, low with a pass, missed the target, and a direct opponent, Bedell, comes away. Nice hand pass to Martin, they're away the Crows.
Off centre half back, she pops it up towards the square, bounced in front of Ponta. Hatchard came and took it away anyway. Gave it to Ponta. Now off to Gould. Through the square they go, nearly run down, but she just did enough. Stannard to force an errant kick. Along the deck, it's cut off by Runnels. Gives it to Webb. Nice kick across to the eastern side. Kane has it just inside the square. The Dockers look to move it down the line. Good pass to Miller.
Finding space, Fremantle at the moment. Adelaide defence are allowing the Fremantle players to run to the football.
Miller hands it off to Verrier into the 50. Houghton in a one-on-one. Couldn't bring it down. Bedell read it best. Gathers at the full, the ball, hands it off to Marinoff, a 1-2 out of the 50. Now at left half back, she had nowhere to go and Houghton on her tail, so she handballed to nowhere. Webb picks it up, gives it to Houghton, back to Webb, back to Houghton, into the 50 for Fremantle, scoreboard pocket, Ty gets a run, takes it on the chest. They just kept surging the Fremantle Dockers, and Ty has it, tight angle on the right, 15 out.
There were a couple of opportunities earlier on, a couple of minutes ago, where Crows, if they had used the ball, could have got right deep into their forward line with their run on. Fremantle's pressure again has been excellent, and they've really maintained possession of the ball and persisted and got a shot on goal.
It's a big moment, and Ty can't rise to the occasion. Minor score to the Fremantle Dockers. Their first blemish of the afternoon, 4-1-25. They trail by 8 points. The Adelaide Crows 5-3-33, 5.5 in the final term.
Well, I think it was Chelsea Bedell who had the football running it out of defence and got close to being tackled and just handballed it. Turnover.
Bedell brought it in, kicked it long. Adelaide now got it all the way to centre. Potter came through, was taken high. It'll be play on advantage. Bursting away. Wasmunya got it forward for Adelaide, hoping for a bounce. There's nobody in the goal square. Through comes Woodland, bowls over an opponent. And then was she taken high? Yes, said the umpire. As she reached down to get the ball, Cuthbertson got her high. And Woodland will go back and have a shot at goal. She's already been credited with one this afternoon. I'm not sure, we're all not sure about how that came about when that ball bounced just over or just behind the line, and she picked it up and put it through.
And Amanya, just to keep the football alive, recognised the situation, just kicked it long to allow the players to run under it, and it was a foot race.
So Woodland to restore a bit of order for Adelaide, and she's done it. So Crows get a settler. 6.5 minutes down in the final quarter. The Crows 6-3-39. Fremantle 4-1-25. 14 points enough. Rod Jamieson, Courtney Gum.
Yeah, space, easy, difficult for defenders, and just good body work too by Ash, wasn't it?
She's excellent like that. She's got good foot speed. She's really good at running on into the goal square, and I really love the way she manages to keep the ball to her advantage or to her teammates' advantage.
She's led well today. When Adelaide have gone in, they haven't been able to put it to the advantage of her side, which I know you've called a couple of times. She's just found herself behind the football or behind her opponent when she's made the right space and movement, but they just haven't been able to get it to her in the right areas.
Adelaide by 14. McKinnon got it down to Phillips, sold Marinoff into a bit of trouble, got it out into space on the western side, toes it to her advantage on the logo. Kane's right on her, wraps her up and takes the footy away. Fends her off and goes Steph Kane towards the 50 for Fremantle. Randall again. Sitting back in the hole, cuts it off and moves it quickly to the western side in a one-on-one. Phillips trying to get it away from Strom. Gathered by McKinnon. threw it on the boot, tumbling up to right half forward, sat up for Stannett, who's caught in the tackle. Ponta was right on her back, rather, and a ball up will come at right half forward for the Adelaide Footy Club, up by 14.
Clever by Aaron just to stop it there, backhanded, keep it to the advantage of Adelaide. Montana, McKinnon being kicking forward.
Phillips being a pest again, just managed to take low to the ground, force another ball up. McKinnon, she couldn't get the tap down. Rue got it. Oh, now they've released it for Bowers. Just got a kick down towards centre wing. Well done by Bedell. Picked it up beautifully. One touch and then sent it long again. And the grab taken by Ponta, middle of the pack. Used the body well.
It's a really good mark by Ponta. I think it's hard to believe that she's under 22. She's in the 22, under 22.
Yeah.
She's a really smart player.
She got the distance caught here.
Again, I think it'll be pretty well on her distance, but I'm going to back her in.
Wind coming from between the stands won't help her. She arcs out to the right, powers the ball, and it's just fading and away to the left for the minor score. 15-point margin in favour of Adelaide at the 9-minute mark. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, Dockers midfielder Steph Kane's come from the ground. She looks to have a hamstring concern. We'll keep an eye out for that.
She's been a good little player today, too.
Fremantle out to the eastern side. Hyde puts her head over the footy. Handball's out to Bowers. Kicked it straight to Marinoff. Back into the 50 for Adelaide she goes. Left forward pocket. Bounces in front of Woodland. Sits up. Tonin came across. Couldn't bring it in. Woodland off the deck. Kicks towards the goal line. Phillips caught behind Pugh. Pugh tackles Tonin. Brings her down. Ball up to come. Left forward pocket. Right in front of the goal face.
Doesn't always have to be clean, is it? Just needs to be dangerous and keep the football moving. Defenders get jumpy.
Well, Phillips went up in the ruck contest, was outpointed quite easily. It went to Bowers. She cleared the area. Adelaide 2-on-1, but McKinnon thought she might have been given a free kick for high. Miller took it away from her. Now Adelaide back in control, back inside 50. Bowers again working hard. Gave it to Miller by hand. Tumbled the punt outside the 50, but on the bounce it went over the line untouched, which means free kick Adelaide. They'll come again through Sarah Allen.
Allen bombs it long to the left forward pocket, so far long that it beats the pack and into the waiting arms. Sitting back of Roxy Rue. Across the goal face, she'll go dangerously. Sit up for Woodland. She couldn't clunk it as Cuthbertson comes from behind. Buttons there. She's wrapped up in the tackle. And holding the footy is the call. Button was there to Crum. Tried to race around for the snap. Cuthbertson got her.
How well has she played today too? Roxy Rue, what about that kick?
Out of defensive 50 go Fremantle. It's an awful kick. Straight to Anne Hatchard, all alone. Called to play on. She stepped off her line. Kicks into the forward pocket. Over the head of Ponta. At the back is Phillips. Bounces off her knees. Trying to gather close to the boundary line. She paddles it out. Putting her head over the footy. Antonio. Handball was cut off by Considine. Got it off to Button. She's mauled. Dockers all over her. Ball comes out. Cuthbertson's wrapped up by Ponta now. Ball up, 35 out from the Crows' goal. They lead by 15, 11 and a half into the fourth.
It's good to see Erin there. She really, all the time, she tries to make something of the ball.
Bowers again hunts the ball from the ruck contest. Spiral punt outside defensive 50. Ball dropped by Hatchard. Opportunity for Houghton. It'll be play on advantage. And now the umpire's going to bring it back and say there was no advantage after he'd given advantage.
It's been frustrating to the umpires. I think there's been a lot of good that's happened this year in the way that players respect, but the umpiring the last 10 minutes of that third and part of this has been not ideal.
So Webb took the kick, it went down the ground, and then it was picked up by Considine, and then she sent it over her head, back again. Well done by O'Sullivan, who got the ball, and she's damaged her leg as she kicks it inside 50 for the Dockers. Running back to goal, Chelsea Randall picks it up, just tumbles the ball towards the boundary line and fumbled over expertly by the experienced Thompson. Adelaide will get some relief. They lead by 15 points. We've gone through 12 and a half minutes of the final quarter. Who's going to a grand final?
I like going to them.
Hopefully here, Gemmo.
I think the Crows like going to them.
Mimstrom took it out of the ruck, but she did so by pushing McKinnon out of it. Free kick and defensive 50 for the Crows. That 15-point lead is the margin. 3.5 remaining in the final term of the preliminary final.
6-5 50s a piece in this last quarter for 1 goal, 1 each.
McKinnon down the western side, over the head of the pack. Ebony Antonio's at the fall of the ball. Snaps around the body, doesn't have a lot of carry. Strom can gather, she's wrapped up by a couple. The ruck, Strom, is tackled by Rochelle Martin, who's the smallest player out there. Ball up to come, attacking edge of the square for the Dockers.
Rochelle and Ebony, tackling machines.
McKinnon again with a tap down. Strom got a hand pass back. Just looking for somebody to come. It was Lowe who gave it to Bowers. She was crunched but got a kick away. Webb was there. She made a tackle. Adelaide released the ball. And now it's under a pile of bodies. And the umpire will call for it. It's at the front end of the centre square for Fremantle. They've got a bit of work to make up. They try by... Well, they have to kick 3 goals to win it. And we're 13, nearly 14 minutes into the final term.
Yeah, just under 2 minutes. 3 minutes remaining, Crossy.
And in Fremantle's forward line, you can see the Crows have got 2 spare with Chelsea and Ratchich.
So tossed up in the square. McKinnon front position, wins it down, bounces for Hatcher, just throws it on the boot, straight to the chest of Tua Karana, who has her first touch of the afternoon. And could it be a good one for the Dockers? Out to the eastern side. Hits the deck. Marinoff's there again. Run down, though. Drop the footy. Trying to kick it down the line. Great tackle from Veria. Doesn't want to waste any time. Up to half forward. Looking for Antonio. Ebony stood her ground. Button came across and missed it. Chest mark taken. On the paint of 50. Wheels around on the right. Heads to the top of the goal square. Hides there. Brought it down to O'Driscoll. Hands it back. Snap around the body from Bowers. Misses to the right-hand side. A chance goes begging for the Dockers late. 14 points the deficit. Adelaide 6-4-40. Fremantle 4-2-26.
Let's go down to the boundary to Liz Walsh.
Yeah, I think Steph Kane's day might be over, guys. She's sitting there being assessed by doctors with only 3 minutes to go. She won't come back on.
Adelaide go long for the kick. In McKinnon may have hurt herself. She went off the mark and landed awkwardly. Banged her head. Meanwhile, Dockers back inside forward 50. And they get a high and long and brilliantly marked by Bedell. Houghton was the opponent, and Bedell out-marked her that time. And Jess got up and said, right, let's just hold things up, shall we? She comes out to this broadcast side of the ground. Wasn't the greatest of kicks, but it was made to look good by Woodland, who got rid of her opponent, Cupperson. And she's saying, let's hold up as well.
Just slow play. All Adelaide need to do. Margin's going to be enough, I think, to get it. And Montana McKinnon has come to... I think she's just winded herself.
Webb's taken it in the pack for the Dockers. Centres her kick to Ebony Antonio. They have to go. Time is running out. Antonio looks for the switch out to the eastern side. It works for Stannett. Marks ahead of Marinoff, rather.
I think they also just have to be mindful that Crows do have numbers back, so they do have to try and work it in there a little bit.
Stannett into the 50 was intended for Houghton, didn't reach her. Stevie Lee Thompson's kick is smothered by Veria. The Dockers keep trying to surge forward. Button can gather for Adelaide. Gave it back to Veria. Kicks from 40, outstanding smother from Rachich. Put the body on the line in the preliminary final. Ball carries over the boundary line to be tossed back into play. Adelaide up by 14.
Pressure from both sides. 2 smothers there from Fremantle. Another one from Adelaide. Outstanding. Only 20 seconds to go in this last quarter.
Inside, Fremantle's attacking 50. Toss back into play. Gould in front position. Wins it down. Bounces off a couple of bodies. Coming through, Button dropped it. Now a quick kick from Ty into the 50. Hits the chest of the 50-gamer, Stevie Lee Thompson. And that will do it, you'd think, at the Adelaide Oval. Thompson plays on. Tries to wheel around the player on the mark. Nearly turned it over. Hands it out of the 50. Out to the eastern side. Adelaide advance to their 4th grand final in history. The most dominant club in the AFLW has a chance at its 3rd flag. Adelaide books a date with Melbourne after a 14-point win in the preliminary final. An outstanding victory at home at the Adelaide Oval.
South Australia, and we're known as the Adelaide Crows. We're courageous, stronger, faster, and respected by our foes. Admiration of the nation, our determination shows. We're the pride of South Australia, we're the mighty Adelaide Crows.
They led all afternoon, the Adelaide Crows, but it certainly wasn't an easy win. Fremantle pushed and pushed with some intense pressure, but the Crows stood up when it mattered. Ash Woodland kicked 2, singles to Ponta, Thompson, Phillips and Gould. For the Dockers, all individual goal scorers, O'Driscoll, Antonio, Runnels and Hyde. Adelaide looked to cement their dynasty in the AFLW. A brilliant finish on Grandstand AFLW. We'll head down very shortly for some reaction. Liz Walsh is with Ebony Marinoff.
Ebony, 4 grand final appearances in 6 seasons. Can you just describe these emotions?
I know it's a bloody good feeling, but I feel like because I know that we've been there before, I'm like, girls, just put a lid on it. You know, be excited, but far out grand finals are the hardest to win. So it's really exciting, but I know, yeah, it's going to be a big battle. I don't even know who we're playing. Who are we playing?
You're playing Melbourne.
Oh, amazing. There you go. So get to play my mates in AO next week.
They're a formidable opponent, though. What do you need to do to get it done against them?
Oh, again, just in the middle, in the contest, I've got star power across the whole ground. So, I'm looking forward to the battle, but yeah, it's going to be a cracker.
You hadn't played for 20 days coming into this prelim. You didn't seem to have too many cobwebs, though. What do you reckon worked best for you guys out there today?
Yeah, I think we just were able to train quite hard over that period and just made sure we were all focused. It's certainly hard to stay focused when you're missing a bit of footy, but yeah, we've got tremendous coaches. We've got an amazing group of players and the support staff, and yeah, we're just part of a very special club.
How good was Chelsea Randall today? She seems to be intercepting everything down there. How good is it to have her back in the team?
Oh, amazing. And you talk about those 3 weeks off, but I think it did the world of good for our older players, you know, with Randall and Flip. Yeah, so we've probably freshened them up, and yeah, like we've played today and we'll have a good, I'm sure we'll train out here Wednesday, and then yeah, big dance next Saturday.
Good luck for it. Enjoy singing this song, Ebony.
I will.
Thanks to Liz Walsh. Down with Ebony Marinoff, a chance at her 4th All-Australian next week. She's one of the best players in the game, and she's leading the charge. One of the most dominant groups in AFLW history. The Adelaide Crows headed to the big stage once again. It's an enticing matchup, Adelaide and Melbourne. Easily the 2 best teams of the season, and they'll meet here at the Adelaide Oval next Saturday. 6-4-40 to 4-2-26, the final scoreline at the Adelaide Oval. We'll get some analysis very quickly from Rod Jamieson and Courtney Gum. In fact, seeing as Ebony's caught up with the on-ground interviews, we'll head to our experts now. What did you make of that contest?
Well, it was an excellent contest. It wasn't really until, I guess, the last 5 minutes of the game where, you know, Crows to have secured the win. It was very fierce. It was a real wrestling match. I think there'll be a few sore Crows bodies at the end of this game leading into next week, and hopefully those older players can pull off okay. I thought that Chelsea Randall was an absolute standout today.
Oh, look, and again, just the regulars that continue to get the footy. Ebony Marinoff with 22, Hatchard 21. I thought Stevie Lee in the middle for probably 2.5, 3 quarters across the centre, but also in that last quarter went back when Fremantle started to get a bit of the football, so her speed to be able to break it open. But so many tacklers, Tia Charlton too, just the way that they can do. Rochelle Martin, and when they go forward, Ash Woodland a star, but Fremantle outstanding. They need some credit today for the season they've had, the travelling they've done.
Jamo, Courtney, thank you for your company this afternoon. Thanks to Crossy as well, and to Liz Walsh down on the boundary. Let's hear the Adelaide football song. Listen to the roar at the Adelaide Oval. The Adelaide Crows are off to their 4th grand final here next Saturday against Melbourne after the Demons defeated the Lions by 4 points earlier today, 5-3-33 to 4-5-29. The result this afternoon, though, was the Adelaide Crows way. 6-4-40 to 4-2-26. A 14-point victory in the second preliminary final. An outstanding couple of games that we've had. And now we can turn our attention to the men's game with 3 contests to come. The Giants up against Gold Coast, Collingwood up against Geelong, Brisbane up against North Melbourne. For everyone listening on ABC Radio and Sport Digital, you're about to head to Giants Stadium. Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Ryan O'Keefe, Callum Sinclair and Emma Simpkin, part of the team there. And join us next Saturday because, boy, it's going to be a big one at the Adelaide Oval. The 2022 AFLW Grand Final will be between the Adelaide Football Club and the Melbourne Demons. The 2 best teams in it collide next Saturday. We look forward to you joining us on Grandstand AFLW.